Our hearing today hardly introduces Senator Sessions to the committee. No, we're here today to review the character and the qualifications of a colleague who has served alongside us in the Senate for 20 years. That includes his time as the ranking member of this committee. We know him well. We know the policy positions he's taken as a legislator. I've been on both sides of debates with this distinguished Senator Sessions. Having served with him for so long, we pretty well know whether he supports your policy positions or opposes them. He tells us so with his usual thoughtfulness, humility, and more importantly, respect. As a former chairman of this committee has put it, Senator Sessions is, quote unquote, wonderful to work with. We know him to be, as another senior Democrat on this committee described him, quote unquote, a man of his word. As a third senior colleague put it, a Democrat as well, he is always a gentleman. He is straightforward and fair. Most of all, the members of this committee know him to be a leader who has served the people of Alabama and all Americans with integrity, with dedication, and with courage. That describes how I know the nominee for the 20 years that I've served with him. As former Chairman Leahy observed the last time a new president took office, it's, quote, important that the Justice Department have a senior leadership in place without delay. We need the Justice Department to be at its best, end of quote. Perhaps my good friend Senator Schumer said it best when he observed that we should, quote, move to a vote, hopefully sooner rather than later, end of quote. And when we do, as he said, we, quote, won't be voting for or against the president's policies. We'll be voting, or in summary, Senator Schumer said, we'll be voting for a colleague with a first-rate legal mind whose record proves his commitment to just law enforcement and eminently qualified to lead the Department of Justice. I've been encouraged by the initial support many of our colleagues on both sides of the aisle have expressed for Senator Sessions' nomination. So I look forward to hearing from Senator Sessions and moving to his appointment without delay. Senator Sessions' record is a life of public service, and so we know his story. He was raised in a small town of Hybert, Alabama, where his father owned and ran a country store. He then studied at Huntington College and the University of Alabama before practicing law in Russellville and Mobile. Senator Sessions has always been an active member of his community. He taught school before attending law school and taught Sunday school at Ashland Place Methodist Church. He served our nation in the Army Reserve, attaining the rank of captain. After his time in private practice, Senator Sessions served as an assistant U.S. attorney in the Southern District of Alabama. He then headed that office after the Senate confirmed him for U.S. attorney, a post he held for 12 years. So all told, this senator, colleague of ours, has served 15 years as a federal prosecutor in the department that he will soon head. It was during that time that he oversaw the investigation of Klansman Francis Hayes for the brutal abduction and murder of a black teenager, Michael Donald. He made sure that case was brought to state court, where the defendant was eligible for and received the punishment that he justly deserved, the death penalty. His office then successfully prosecuted that murders accomplished in federal court. Based on his prosecutorial record, the people of Alabama elected him their Attorney General and then their senator. He has served with us since 1997. And as our former chairman observed, This committee has relied on him for his prosecutorial experience during the course of his Senate service. Throughout his public service, both within the department and outside of the department, he has raised his hand and served when called upon. He has done his duty, enforced the law fairly, and let the chips fall where they may. Reflecting on this record of service, it's no surprise then that Senator Sessions was also an Eagle Scout. Other members of this committee know, as I do, that the Scout's motto, "Be prepared," sits on his desk in his Senate office. Senator Sessions' entire life of dedicated public service has prepared him for this day. If he's confirmed, and I expect that he will be, Senator Sessions will shed his role as a legislator who writes law, and he'll take on the task of enforcing the laws Congress has written. He has made this transition before when the people of Alabama elected him their senator based on his record of service as U.S. Attorney and Alabama Attorney General. As one member of this committee observed about a lawyer's transition into the role of a judge, quote, "There are turning points in a person's life when they put away things of the past and move into new responsibilities," end of quote. Serving as our nation's Attorney General will mark another such turning point in Senator Sessions' distinguished career. And every member of this committee knows from experience, in his new role, Senator Sessions will be a leader for law and order administered without regard to person. Leadership to that end is exactly what the department now needs. It should go without saying that the department is tasked with the responsibility of enforcing our laws, all of our laws, in a dispassionate and even-handed way. We write the laws. The executive enforces them faithfully. This is simple but very foundational principle. Unfortunately, for the last several years, the department has simply declined to enforce some laws the executive branch found obnoxious. The department's failure to enforce the law has run the gamut of issues from criminal law to our nation's duly enacted immigration laws. It's true that each branch of government has an independent duty to assess the constitutionality of the laws it writes, it administers, and it adjudicates. But it's equally true that the executive has a constitutional responsibility to, as we all know, take care that the laws be faithfully executed. I know our colleague, this Senator Sessions, respects the legislative process and the prerogative of Congress to write the law. As he explained during the confirmation hearing that we held for John Ashcroft's nomination to serve as Attorney General, quote, "The Attorney General is a law enforcer. There is a big difference between a politician and a senator where we vote on policy and executing that policy," end of quote. I look forward to hearing from Senator Sessions on how he will transition from voting on policy matters to enforcing the laws he has labored so long to improve and to sustain. Just as he respects Congress's duly enacted laws, Senator Sessions knows and respects the importance of an independent Attorney General at the department's helm. When he has questioned other candidates for the office of Attorney General, he has made plain the priorities of an Attorney General's independence,